freaks, but we're here. 123 Central.
We had a little bit of studio traffic here at the park.
Do you want to vent?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right. Let's hop on the Halo topic. While we were waiting to get set up, we were talking about Halo. Logan doesn't think.
Yeah, dude, Restream fucked up the Twitter link.
What?
I wonder if it's Twitter's fault. I mean, Twitter's just going down a fucking shithole.
Did it not send the tweet?
Let's make sure YouTube works. YouTube, are we live? We're live on YouTube. Okay.
Oh yeah, and on Twitter it's weird. It's not embedded anymore in the tweet. If you click the untitled thing.
If I click the web thing, it goes.
Yeah. We are live. 4 viewers on Twitter. Hello, Twitter
Elon's
viewers.
really fucking up the...
I imagine we're 2 of those viewers, so hello, 2 other viewers.
Okay, well, I retweeted it anyway. Fucking Elon's doing his best to just burn $44 billion. Kind of love to see it.
Love to see it, hate to see it. You know, maybe had good intentions. Got in over his skis. Yeah, I know we've both expressed this on this show and in other places the last few weeks. My Twitter consumption's been down pretty materially.
I finally, after years of trying, I finally kicked my Twitter addiction, and now I'm addicted to Nostr instead.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
for better or worse.
I think overall, even including Nostr, my social media consumption has been down.
Well, one thing I'm going to try and stick to on Nostr is computer only, no mobile.
I like that.
Because it's that, like, when you pull out your phone, you just start doing the scroll. Hate that shit.
Yeah, that's the thing with Nostr too. It's so nascent, it's even hard. It's a little clunky to do the scroll.
I know, it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah. All right, back to Halo.
I mean, no, the conversation isn't Halo. The conversation is Last of Us the first good video game adaptation?
I do not have a good take on that particular topic because I don't know how many video adaptation pieces of video content I've actually watched. I will say my wife, my brother, and I have been watching The Last of Us, and I really do like the show.
Not today, you New World Order jackboot thugs. Fucks. Jackboot fucks. How good was that?
So
Nick Offerman.
Yeah,
I thought of you as soon as I heard that line. I was like, I hope Marty's watching this right now.
I feel like you would have like his.
I mean, that's the ideal setup. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like taking notes. I was like, okay, Mandibles.
No, it doesn't really good. I mean, I've been like enjoying the show. Then we got in. Matt said that Halo is the second best adaptation, and Logan vehemently disagreed.
Well, I loved Halo as a kid.
I did too.
Master Chief does not fuck. That's all.
It's true. It's true. I mean, pulling off the mask was a questionable choice.
Yeah,
it was definitely garbage TV. I mean, it's a low bar. It's a low bar. The nostalgia kicked in, and it was nice.
I have not watched the Halo movies or shows, whatever they made, but
it's a series. It's not a movie. And then, of course, there's the Witcher series, which I couldn't really get into.
I will say that when I was a peak gamer, like sophomore year of high school, Halo was my game.
But I do feel like Last of Us cheats a little bit, at least with me, because like I just like apocalypse books and movies and TV shows, and like they don't have to be great. They just have to get the mind running with different scenarios.
Yeah.
Like Mandibles.
Whoa. On the Mandibles topic, Drink Freaks #1. #2, big interview tomorrow.
It's a big deal. I got her.
How'd you get her?
Lionel Shriver. Bitcoiners are everywhere. I had a Bitcoiner finally made the intro. So she'll be on Dispatch tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 1600 UTC on the Citadel Dispatch YouTube feed. So search Citadel Dispatch in YouTube. And if you press that little notification bell, you'll be notified when we go live. But jokes aside, I mean, as many of the freaks as possible who can join us for that live show and show her a big welcome to the Bitcoin community, because that live chat will be streamed right in. So she'll be seeing the live chat as we're going. That'd be awesome. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
And Citadel Dispatch freaks, let's be nice to Lionel, okay? Let's lead her to the path. We know she killed Bitcoin in the book. Let's not hold that against her.
I love it. There was like a bunch of people that like, you have to ask her the question, like, why did Bitcoin die? It's like, of course I'm going to ask that question.
That'll be fascinating. Have you gotten any like pre-interview color from her, like her perspective? Like,
once I had the intro made, she was just all for it. She's in. She's excited.
Oh yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah, the hard part was getting the actual intro. Like I mean, the freaks know I've been trying for
quite some time.
Feels like years.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
It'll be a good one. I'm curious just on her thoughts in general. Like, I mean, Mandibles was written in 2016.
7 years later.
Yeah.
A lot has come true. I know because I've had the book read to me in snippets over the last 2 years over this podcast.
You got to read the book, Marty.
I know. 13 hours audiobook.
Or at least listen to the episode.
I'm definitely going to listen to the episode. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't be doing my duty, considering how big of a meme Mandibles has become on this show, if I didn't listen to the episode.
You see, Genesis the Great said, can we just rename RHR to Mandy Bros?
Maybe. Maybe we have to, when hyper Bitcoinization, when nobody needs to fall down the rabbit hole anymore, we'll just become a Mandy Bros podcast. That's like at least 16 months away, though.
I mean, we're living it.
We are. All right, let's jump into it. We got a lot going on this week. We had block 777,777 pass.
Were you up?
No, I did not stay up.
Marty, the mempools still haven't cleared.
Where we
came close. We came close.
We've been hovering around like 19 blocks. Currently at 11 blocks. Currently at 11 blocks.
I saw you tweet at me when we got to 3 blocks left saying easiest 100K sats I'll ever make. And then mempools filled up again. Yeah, we got Finch in the comments saying I got lucky. I will say we're on track for one of the largest difficulty adjustments in Bitcoin history. If we get through this, I'm still tight. It's like there's like 180 blocks. 180 blocks to go to the next difficulty adjustment.
Well, if we shuffle over to Clark's dashboard, we'll see that there's actually 176 blocks until the next difficulty adjustment, which is estimated to be on the 24th, which is tomorrow. Some point tomorrow night. Right now, it's estimated to be an upward adjustment of 11.4%. Blocks have been coming in at just under 9 minutes, at 8 minutes and 59 seconds on average since the last retarget.
I made the same bet with Finch, too, so that's why he's a little bit salty in the comments.
Finch, we're in this together. Maybe we should take some side bets. Get a little big.
You want to bet on your rent?
Bet on...
Finch, no. I think your rent's going to go up.
No, we had the Austin rent talk last week, and I don't want to bet a rent.
Hopefully your landlord's listening. He's like, I'm definitely going to raise Marty's rent.
I don't know, man. I actually saw a TikTok about Austin real estate yesterday. Not on TikTok. It came up on Twitter. But if you were to mortgage a house at the average price, which I believe is like $1.2 million right now at 7%, which is where the interest rates are, your monthly rate would be $7,000, where the average rent is like around $4,000 for a house of commensurate value. So the thesis behind that is that the Austin real estate market has ways to correct between that mortgage monthly payment and that rent monthly payment. Who knows if it's correct?
Rent should go up. Rent's lag.
No, the value of the houses should come down.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now is like it's a really nice window where you have like a much better bang for your buck renting in general.
Yeah.
Because rates went up so quickly.
Yeah. Speaking of
like when you see with like real estate market, in general, like everyone thinks it's a liquid market. It's a very illiquid market, and on the way down, it gets very sticky. Like sellers, just liquidity dries up, and like sellers just don't sell.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for prices to correct.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. Like we go into a Mandibles situation, and then rates won't come back down in that situation. I mean, if you look at hyperinflation economies like Argentina and whatnot, you just can't get a loan, period, because like, what do you put your rate at if the money is losing its value at 15% a year or 20% a year?
Yeah, you don't want to
Like
get
banks
locked
don't.
in at 10% when next year it's going to be 15%
Yeah.
as a bank.
So a lot of times what you see is they'll denominate stuff in dollars, right? But what happens if it happens to the dollar?
You start denominating in sats
Or gold, maybe? I don't like. Can you get like a gold loan? I guess so.
We're going to leapfrog, and I'm going to interrupt this part of the conversation because I have like an Altus moment right now. We're currently at block height 770,000 or 778,000 on the dot. I got that in, and it just went to 77801. Thank God I got it in.
Not a palindrome.
Not a palindrome, but just a nice even block height. I got it in. Sorry for the interruption, but agree.
They're good.
That will be an interesting dynamic if it does come to play.
And then also, I mean, I think investment real estate is a shitcoin, but Nick Offerman was only able to stop the New World Order fucks because he owned his own piece of property. So there's definitely a value in that.
No, as a Bitcoiner wants to own land and is thinking of this dynamic at play right now with high interest rates, seeing the potential for the sticker price of the housing market to come down significantly, but also seeing the alternative of things running away. Like if they run away, the dollar's devaluing, Bitcoin's potentially gaining value beyond that inflation rate. Like, do you just wait it out, spend less sats for the same house?
It's a difficult situation.
It is.
There's no easy answer.
We won't find out until the day comes.
I will say one more time, though, that I wonder if like we talked about it last week, but I wonder if like this idea of like the fixed rate mortgage goes away. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, if you locked a mortgage in June 2020 at like 2.5%
for 30 years,
yeah,
like that just seems like not a market situation. Like, that's not a real market situation. That's like fiat bullshit, right?
well, ideally it would, like in a market with a sound monetary good that's been widely adopted, that would make sense. The mortgage rate would be locked in relatively low because you'd have some certainty over the purchasing power of the underlying collateral, which would be the Bitcoin.
It'd be priced in sats, though.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Definitely don't want a mortgage priced in sats.
Not right now. Definitely not.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah. But on the other side of hyper-Bitcoinization, maybe it makes more sense.
Borrowing Bitcoin. Dangerous game.
For the lender or the borrower?
For both, but for the borrower,
if you borrow Bitcoin, convert to dollars. Yeah, for the borrower.
If I borrow a Bitcoin from you, Marty, and tell you I have to pay you back a Bitcoin in 30 years,
yeah, good luck.
That's
definitely the borrower.
But it's your problem too, because I need to pay you back.
Yeah.
It's both people's problems.
Yeah. Well, more the lender in that case, because the borrower could know that they're not going to be able to pay it back, take it anyway.
Because like, if you think about it, like,
and the lender has no like repercussions down the line, or no, not repercussions. There are repercussions. The repercussion being that like the lender's just, or the borrower is just going to be like, oh, sorry, don't have it.
Yeah, so the lender is fucked.
Yeah, the lender's fucked. Yeah.
Anyway, shower thoughts, freaks.
Good shower thoughts to start this rip. Speaking of rips, the price of Bitcoin did rip up towards $25,000 earlier this week, but now it's currently sitting at 24,005 cuck bucks. One cuck buck's going to get you 4,166 sats. Current market capitalization of Bitcoin is 463.2 billion cuck bucks. We've had 2 blocks mined since block 778,000. And I saw some freaks in the comments saying, "Oh, it's been a half hour." Well, it just took 2 minutes to mine 2 blocks. So
I guess in the BlockFi situation, people were lending their Bitcoin to degens, and as the lender, they got fucked.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same with Voyager, same with Celsius.
Like all those yield products were essentially people lending their Bitcoin to degens.
Yeah, and then the degens coming back, be like, "Sorry, lost it all in Terra Luna. I'll see you in court. You're not going to get anything, and I'll get a slap on the wrist." Where are we at next? We already mentioned the retarget. Now it's in 174 blocks. There are currently 3,859 transactions in Clark's mempool, which is not a lot. That could clear very quickly. One sat per V byte transactions are being included in blocks. You are going to have to wait a bit, though. If you're in a hurry, in the next block, probably want to attach a 15 sat per V byte fee to that transaction. But if you're willing to wait an hour, 5 sats per V byte will suffice. According to Clark's dashboard, there are currently 6,688.75 Bitcoin in unspent capacity on Samurai's Whirlpool. That is 160.4 million cuck bucks worth of unspent value.
Keep coin joining, freaks. Keep those mempools full till the end of the year at least.
Yeah, Whirlpool's plateaued a bit, hovering below its all-time highs. I believe on this show is like 6,800 some odd Bitcoin. Staying above 680 right now. You think the fee market affected that at all?
No. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because this is a different... I keep joking around on Nostr and Twitter, like this time is different because it's a funny meme with mempools. But this time is a little bit different because most of the NFT volume, right, is coming in at 1 sat per byte. It's just like sitting there in 1 sat per byte, right? So even though mempools haven't cleared, we haven't really seen that kind of, FOMO, raise the fee, where you have like this circular feedback loop where fees go up substantially. And part of that reason, I believe is because the degens haven't added, replaced by fee or fee bumping or anything like that. So they don't really have efficient fee selection. They're just spamming out 1 sat per bytes. So for the most part, for all this period, I mean, even if you had 1 sat per byte, you probably would have already been in a block. But at 2 sat per byte, you would definitely get in. Yeah. Within like an 8-hour period or something like that.
All right, question for you.
So my point is, so with coin joins, like that's, I think the fee pressure on coin joins doesn't really start until maybe like, it's a personal choice, right? But maybe like 40, 50 sats per byte starts to get spicy.
Yeah. Quick question for you. How long do you think we'll be on air
today? Right now?
Yeah.
How long do you want to be on air?
I don't know, maybe like an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, deal.
All right, because there's only 8 blocks left in the mempool.
I thought you had an obligation.
Should we make another 100,000 sat bet? Am I doubling up right now?
What, that it clears before the end of the episode? Yeah, I'll take that bet all day. It's not going to clear by the end of the episode.
What do you think, freaks?
I'll do that for however much you want to do it for. You want to do it for 1 million sats?
No, definitely not 1 million.
Okay, let's do 100K sats. It's not going to clear by the end
let's
of
do
the episode.
let's do 50. Let's do 50,000.
Okay.
Because I could lose this bet and still win 50,000 sats.
Okay.
All right. I might
Deal.
have just
Shake. We'll shake on it.
shook. All right. 50,000 sat bet live on air. And the freaks are spamming the mem pool.
And we got Ronan Miner in the comments. Thank you, Ronan. Appreciate you. I'll send you 25K sats if you do it.
Fuck you, Neil. All right, here we go. Into the list. Starting off, important notice for anybody running LND Hub and connecting that to Blue Wallet. They are mothballing that functionality.
Wrong.
What?
Wrong. It's for people who are using the default Lightning wallet on Blue Wallet. They are closing their custodial Lightning wallet. If you're using your own LND hub, you're good. If you're using your own Lightning node, you're good. But if you're... Yeah,
they're shutting down their LND hub.
Yeah. When you open Blue Wallet and you press new Lightning wallet, by default, it uses their custodial Lightning wallet. I think most freaks are aware of this. We've talked about it many times. You obviously have custodial risk. They can rug pull you. They can take your money. But also, if their node goes down, you can't make payments. They're shutting down that aspect. So if you are using their Lightning wallet in default mode, which most people are, you should move your funds ASAP. They said they're going to shut down April 30th. In the meantime, they're not allowing you to add funds to it. But regardless, don't wait till April 30th. Do it today. Move your funds out. Yeah,
April 30th. So you have 2 months and 7 days. 2 months and 5 days.
I will say, as someone who spends a lot of time in education, the fact that their Lightning wallet by default was custodial made it very difficult to recommend the wallet, even though it's all around a fantastic open source wallet that's available on both Android and iPhone. And it's because like it adds an extra level of nuance, right? You have to be like, okay, download this, but if you use the Lightning portion, it's custodial. But if you're on the on-chain portion, it's not custodial. But you can use your own node where it's not just like it makes it much more confusing. So I'm glad that it will streamline that process. It will make it easier for me to recommend Blue Wallet. But in general, I mean, this is a real risk. This idea that people are using custodial wallets on Lightning. Many people are. Wallet of Satoshi is custodial, and it's probably by far it's hard to measure, but it's probably by far the most popular mobile Lightning wallet right now. That is a major risk, right? Custodians are a trusted third party. They can take your money at will. They see all your transactions. They're a privacy counterparty. So they can see all your transactions. They can get pressured by governments to add KYC or freeze your funds. And it's a major risk. And I do wonder if this means, I wonder what this means for Wallet of Satoshi. I wonder what Wallet of Satoshi is thinking right now.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, in the blog post where they announced this sunsetting, they end it with, this may sound like bad news, but this essentially means Blue Wallet going forward will only support self-custody solutions. This is good for Bitcoin and Blue Wallet users, but the tinfoil hat part of me is like, was there some pressure on the back end?
It's a massive liability to run these custodial Lightning services. Like you have to have, if you're willing to take on that liability, like you have to have a, proper processes in place. And you have to at least hope that your fees are set in a way that you're making enough money to justify that liability, because you become a massive target for specifically the U.S. government. I mean, the U.S. government loves themselves some KYC, AML policies, right? And they'll go around the world. They'll go to the Seychelles to, get the BitMEX guys for offering custodial services without KYC. So we've seen time and time again these custodial services either get forced by regulators to implement KYC. They do it because they hired some lawyers that convinced them to do it. We've seen countless people get rugged. I mean, we've talked about in the past, like MintPal, Cryptsy, like it's a tale as old as time, but it's also a tale as old as Bitcoin. Custodial counterparties,
Bittrex,
rug pulling people.
Planiacs, Shapeshift, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like come find me in the Seychelles. Arthur Hayes found out the hard way that they will come find you in the Seychelles.
Oh, Carlos has a good point. It's not necessarily self-custody only, because you can set a separate LND hub custodial partner in Blue Wallet if you put in a custodian's LND hub. So he's talking about how he's using Albi as his custodian, but he's interfacing with it through Blue Wallet. But I will say, if it's not default, that is the big difference here, is when you download it, if you press add Lightning Wallet, presumably it's going to ask you to provide some node information, whether that's LND hub. I know they want to integrate LDK. I don't know how that's going. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit different going forward. If you're recommending Blue Wallet, you don't have to necessarily warn people that by default the Lightning Wallet is custodial. We also saw, what was it, Dropbit? Dropbit had a custodial Lightning Wallet in the early days of Lightning. Their founder got caught up in a custodial mixing service he was running, and the government just seized all the custodial Lightning funds. Everyone got rug pulled at the same time. So I do wonder.
That was even Bottle Pay.
Yeah, go on.
Had they didn't get rug, but
Bottle Pay was proactive about it.
Yeah,
and I think they did it. They did it probably similar to. It could be comparable to Blue Wallet. I think they did it in the most responsible way possible, which is you give users a time to withdraw and then you shut down the service. And then before Bottle Pay added KYC, we've talked about this in the past, but before Bottle Pay added KYC, they basically created a whole new platform, waited 6 months, and then people could choose to onboard again with KYC rather than shotgun KYCing people, which is what we've seen. Like Binance does the shotgun KYC, where like you have a non-KYC account and then they just hold your funds hostage, point a shotgun at your head and say, give us intimate personal information, otherwise you can't get your funds. Which is particularly brutal.
Yeah. And there's multiple reasons these different companies may do that. Number one reason is probably pressure from governments to get to a certain size, and the government's like, hey, we need some information on your users. Another speculative reason why they would do this is they actually don't have the reserves that they say they do. So they'll shotgun KYC on you to slow down the withdrawal process, which many people believe some bigger exchange may be engaged in. So yeah, it's not one reason why they would do this. There's many reasons: solvency, regulatory, blah 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 blah.
Well, anyway, I would also say that if you're using Wallet of Satoshi or any other custodial service, you should consider withdrawing the majority of your funds. The thing I constantly hear from people is, "Oh, I just use Wallet of Satoshi with a minimal amount of money. It doesn't matter if I get rugged." Maybe that's a reasonable trade-off for you. That you're an individual, you can make that decision yourself. But I think that's a little bit of a cop-out. I mean, I've seen so many people in the global south get onboarded onto Wallet of Satoshi. $7 might be a lot for them, right? 35,000 sats might be a lot of money for them. And you could see that growing, right? Like, oh, next thing you know, they have, $100. They have, $200 in there. They have 1 million sats, right? That's what, $230 in there. And then that's a significant portion of their savings. And I continue to be very concerned that we will have the entire global south rug pulled at the same time with Wallet of Satoshi, and that says nothing about their operators. Everything about their operators have seemed to point to them operating in high integrity, but that doesn't really matter. They could be pressured, they could get hacked, but of course they could exit scam. So people should be concerned about that. And then I also, after doing this podcast for over 4.5 years every week, I can, in my head, think of what people are saying as I say things in response to me. And I know you are thinking right now, well, Matt, like, why are you so bullish on Fedimints? Fedimints are inherently custodial. Yes, I agree. That is true. That is a trade-off with Fedimints. But the thing is with Fedimints is they are multi-sig custodians. So the custodial risk is reduced. You could have a multi-sig custodian where different signers are in different parts of the world. You have jurisdictional arbitrage there, right? Different jurisdictions will have to pressure the signers individually to all come together to collude to take the funds or freeze the funds. Second of all, with Fedimints, you have privacy from the custodians, which you don't have in these current custodial wallets. And third and last but not least, no matter how many times I warn people about wallet of Satoshi custodial risk, they still use it. That doesn't actually improve anything, right? Like most people will still use the most convenient option. So if you have the most convenient option being Fedimints instead of single sig custodians, then at least you have an actionable situation where, you know, the majority of people who end up choosing the most convenient option choose one that has better trust trade-offs than the current custodian relationships that we have today.
Yeah. I mean, there's a spectrum here. On this end,
Yeah.
you have full KYC Lightning apps, like Strike, River, in one step, wallet of Satoshi. Another step, you get something like Fedimints. On this end of the spectrum, you have you running your full Bitcoin protocol node with a Lightning node on top of it where you're managing your channels. So getting closer to this end of the spectrum is
well, in between
improvement.
those is like Phoenix.
Phoenix, then you have like a
Where
voltage.
Phoenix, where you're like trusting an LSP, right? There's still trust based there, but at least you're holding your own keys locally. But you're trusting their node and you're trusting them as an LSP. They're providing you all your liquidity. Like Moon is sandwiched in there somewhere where like they're not actually. You can pay a Lightning invoice and you can receive from Lightning, but everything is an on-chain swap and it's momentarily custodial before the swap happens. Yeah, there's a lot of different levels.
Different notches on the spectrum. But agree, Fedimints are certainly closer to the most sovereign end of the spectrum than something like Wallet of Satoshi.
And then within Fedimints, there's going to be a bunch of different levels, right? So like we could do like an Uncle Jim Fedimint, right? Where it's just like me, Marty, and Logan are the 2 of 3 signers of the Fedimint, and then like our families use it, right? And then we know like as long as, you know, Marty and Logan don't collude, my family won't get rug pulled. Or you could have like a massive Fedimint that's, you know, run by large entities located around the globe, maybe exchanges, maybe something like that. So there'll be different levels within Fedimints as well.
Logan, would we rug pull Matt's family if we had the chance?
Of course not.
Very convincing.
I wouldn't. We're gonna rug pull your family, Logan.
Me and Marty are gonna collude and take your family's generational wealth.
No, but then again with the Fedimints too, yeah, like Matt said, you'll have these very public institutions saying, "Hey, we're the guardians of this Fedimint." But hypothetically, you could have a Fedimint spun up completely anon. You do out-of-band communications with the individuals you want in the mint, and nobody knows who the guardians are or the people in the mint.
Yeah, there'll be different levels.
Yeah. So be aware, freaks. If you're running Blue Wallet, you have until April 30th to
withdraw today.
Withdraw, yeah. Sooner the better. I'm going to have to go do that.
Just withdraw today.
Yeah.
We also saw there was another custodial wallet run by Fiat Jaff, LNTX bot. And he's still trying to unwind it. Like these things are like very difficult to unwind and get people's funds out. He's been having liquidity issues to unwind it. So you want to do it early. You don't want to wait.
Yeah. Be proactive. Because that was like, remember, the first go at this was Change Tip back in the day.
Yeah, they got acqui-hired by Airbnb,
which is the funniest acqui-hire ever. Is Airbnb just sitting on the Change Tip code?
I love Change Tip. Change Tip was so fun. I love trolling celebrities with Change Tip. Those were the good old days of Twitter too.
At Change Tip, send this Bitcoin hater a beer.
Twitter's crazy, man. Like, I don't know. their priorities are just so. Everything is just prioritized around these KYC blue check people.
Yeah, I'm refusing to KYC and get the blue check, and I don't know if I'm being punished with spam bots because of that, or the spam bot problem just has not been fixed. But it did seem like it was fixed for at least like a week or two, and now like
I don't think it was fixed. I think the spam bots just stopped for a little bit.
Might have been the case, but I literally can't even. Notifications are completely useless part of the app for me right now. It's just all spam.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of like, I mean, the algorithm is like completely shifted to just make favorites of blue check people. Like blue check people can now write longer tweets. They added their own shitcoin that doesn't use a blockchain or anything called Twitter coins.
Yeah, I guess we have that on the list.
Is that blue check only? Can you only receive your shitcoins if you're a blue check?
I know Twitter started here. Pull up the
you know what? You know the real commentary on Twitter coins. It should be Twitter coin because the plural of coin is coin.
No, it's not. He almost had me there. So Tree of Alpha, I don't know if he got access to this or is ripping the screenshot, but it's a screenshot of a function in Twitter called coins. Coins allow you to support creators who tweet great content. Unused coins are kept in your balance. Twitter started adding packs for Twitter coins. As of 10 minutes ago, the first pack showing is 150 coins for $1.99. And the only current purchasing option is via Stripe.
At first, I thought it was an April Fool's joke because Nostr recently integrated sats, so you can zap sats to people. If you like their content, if you like their posts, you can instantly send them sats through the Lightning Network. And then Twitter rolls out this. They should just have integrated sats instead. But once again, I'm just glad we have Nostr as an alternative. Because I'm pretty sure Twitter's dead. It's just not really priced in yet. Like people, it'll take a little bit for people to realize that Twitter has already gone through its blockbuster moment and it's completely irrelevant. Like it's going to take a little bit more time, but we're close.
Yeah,
a couple years.
I mean, Twitter. I mean, been a lot of Nostr talk in the comments this week. Mutiny boys are very bullish. Miles Snyder from Collider is very bullish. I'm very bullish. We've got some bearish members of the Commons. I will not name them by name, but who knows?
Can you still access Nostr on the Commons Wi-Fi network, or did they block that like BTC Pay server?
No, BTC Pay server is not blocked anymore. You can get on Nostr as well. All the clients. Yeah, let's run with a theoretical future in which Nostr does wildly succeed and scale and flourish. Like these Twitter coins thing is like, it's like laughable. Like having had the Zap experience on Nostr and seeing them implement this is like, you're so antiquated. I'd rather just paste an LN address in my profile and receive immediately instead of having this clunky experience of putting in my credit card information, getting coins, and then all that bullshit.
Yeah, it reads like an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
Of course, the steel man is that most people on Nostr right now are using custodial Lightning wallets to receive the Lightning payments. But at least, there's nuance here. At least it's part of an open monetary network, and people can withdraw at will, and they can choose which custodians they want to use. And hopefully Lightning tools improve, so most people will end up using self-custody. But it needs to be more convenient. I think it's, the freaks know I go back and forth on how bullish I am on Lightning. But I'm the first one to admit always that using Lightning in a self-sovereign fashion is not incredibly easy right now, particularly using with Lightning addresses. Like the easiest way to use it with Lightning addresses is running a BTC Pay server. But a lot of people don't want to run a BTC Pay server just to receive 1,000 sats, 5,000 sats in tips, which it's hard to blame them for that, right? Like what they're going to run a BTC Pay server, manage their liquidity, open Lightning channels. to receive $5. It's just most people will not do that. It is what it is. It's not defeatist. It's pragmatic and realistic. So as the tooling improves, hopefully we'll have more people move to self custody. I would love to see Bolt 12 get implemented. I think that will help a lot. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that sentiment. And it's hard not to be, I mean, just for us personally, like it's hard not to be bullish on the Lightning Network, considering how much it's been integrated into this show, Citadel Dispatch, TFTC, other areas that we're working in. Like I see it work every day. I use Lightning every day. There's certain utility there. The question is whether or not it will be sufficiently distributed and censorship resistant in the future due to the natural centralizing factors that exist because of the burden of setting up that node and managing that liquidity that exists.
Finch, I see you in the comments. Why don't you put a link there and I'll put it in the show notes. But Finch is saying that his favorite way to set up a sovereign Lightning address is using Tallycoin Connect plus Raspberry Blitz plus LND. If you don't have to run a BTC Pay server, that's a massive win.
Yeah.
If Finch, if you're running your Raspberry Blitz Tor only at home, how does it handle that? How do you handle the ClearNet access? That would be my question. But
while we wait for Finch to,
we have BTC pins saying Umbral plus LN bits is an option. I have the same question. If you don't have ClearNet exposed, how do you handle that? Sorry, continue, Marty.
Jevy saying even running a BTC Pay server isn't super convenient in a self-sovereign way. I know that.
Yeah, most of us just use Voltage. Slap the button.
Yeah, we don't use Voltage. We do use a cloud service, but I don't run the node at my house, so I don't trust my Wi-Fi.
You don't trust your Wi-Fi, Marty?
No. I've got kids that unplug shit all the time.
Oh yeah, for the show, I feel that. I mean, I think I told the freaks that I wasn't receiving SAT streaming on Citadel Dispatch for a week because my node was offline.
Do we ever find out who stole your original Nodl node?
They were just great people.
They
kept fees low. They kept channels open.
Very good thief. Philip Rizzo, Marty got a sunburn. Man's been eating seed oils. Not true. I do have a sunburn. Have not been eating many seed oils. I've tried to cut them out of my diet, but I've also started commentating lacrosse games out in the sun in the Texas heat. Baseball.
That's awesome. So that's what you meant by your final thought? Sports commentary is difficult?
It is. I had my second game last night. It's difficult, but it's fun. I've been getting good feedback.
How do you... Is it like local commentary? Like you have a speaker or something?
I have a lapel microphone, live stream on YouTube. It's fun though.
Wait, there's a YouTube stream?
Oh yeah.
How do we find it on YouTube?
I tweeted it out. Unchained tweeted it out. Well, the Anderson High School lacrosse team. If you guys want to hear my lacrosse takes. It's a good little release for me. Lets me get back to some of the other things I'm passionate about in my life, beyond family and Bitcoin. What was I going to say? I think I had something to add here, but I forget what it is. We'll go on to the next topic, which is a pretty big one, and I think concerning is the right word. Would you preface this? Marco Falke stepping down as a maintainer.
7 years, man. This guy is, absolute legend. Huge shout out to Marco. We appreciate you. He's based in Europe. He hasn't really... I linked to No Bullshit Bitcoin because his account is private on Twitter, but he tweeted it out. You want to read what he said here?
Yeah, the 3-tweet thread. It said, I've been the quality assurance and testing maintainer of Bitcoin Core for about 7 years now. In a challenging decision, I concluded to transition out of my role as maintainer. I remain passionate about open source and Bitcoin, and I'm positive about the future. However, being a maintainer is no longer a good fit for me personally. I'm happy about my achievements and recognize that they would not have been possible without my sponsors. I'm grateful for OKCoin, having supported 3 out of my 7 years as maintainer, and Paradigm, having co-sponsored the last grant.
Yeah, so there's still 4 Bitcoin core maintainers: Michael Ford, Stepanov, Andrew Chow, and Gloria Zhao. So that there's still people maintaining Bitcoin Core, and you can think of, like, for the non-devs out there, you can think of a maintainer as kind of like the QB of the operation, right? They're the ones who are kind of pulling all the pieces together, handling like reviews and merges, and they have like super user admin access in terms of actually merging new changes. Now with Bitcoin, there's nuance there. Obviously, there's no auto updates with Bitcoin, so individual node runners have to then go and actually update their nodes. So this is where people that think like devs have control over Bitcoin are wrong, because each of us have to go and actually update our nodes manually. We can inspect the code. We can choose if we want to update or not. We can choose to fork it, right? If we want to go in a different route than the maintainers are currently going in. With this situation, he hasn't said it explicitly, probably intentionally, but he is based in Europe, and the guy parading around pretending to be Satoshi, Craig Wright, is currently suing developers for liability. And I have a feeling, I'm not sure if this is why, but I'm pretty sure that is why. It's because CSW is going after him and other developers. So this is an alarming situation. People should be concerned. Hopefully some of the developers that are leaving publicly and officially are just going to come back under a NIM or a different NIM. But it's not a good situation. But alternatively, if it's just his own personal decision, complete respect. You've done your service. You've done your tours of duty. We appreciate you, Marco. It's often a thankless job. So thank you. But I'm pretty sure CSW is behind the scenes fucking with all of them.
Yeah. Thank you, Marco, for your time. Fuck you, Craig Wright. Feel safe saying that here in the United States. But again, going back to the 4 remaining maintainers, I mean, 3 of the 4 are relatively young.
Yes.
Gloria, Michael, and Andrew are all in their early to mid-20s, which is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
And Hanadi,
I don't know how old Stepanov is.
Just looking at his profile. I mean, sorry, Hanadi, if he looks a bit older than his 20s. Yeah, very interesting. So we lost Marco. Peter Wola obviously transitioned out. Vladimir transitioned out last year as well. Those 3 particularly have been around for a while, and that engages a debate. Like, is this healthy? This sort of cycling of maintainers. Then you have the debate: is that healthy, or is like a somewhat forceful cycling due to litigious actions that are happening over in Europe? What does that mean?
I mean, for the first point, I think it's important that we have, for a project as important as Bitcoin, where the stakes are as high as Bitcoin, a global, distributed, censorship-resistant financial protocol that's independent of governments and corporations. You don't want you want a decent amount of maintainers, right? You want a group of maintainers. You don't just want like one person with that power. So you want a stable of them, and you want it to be healthy enough that any individual ones can leave and pursue their own life goals, priorities, without the project suffering. So in that regard, it's healthy. On the flip side, obviously having veteran maintainers around, particularly with young maintainers, new maintainers there, that kind of like a mentor-mentee relationship, is super valuable. And if we have a fraud who's going around pressuring those people, That is not healthy and is a major concern and is a major problem. But unfortunately, for better or worse, like the reason Bitcoin exists in the first place is because the current incentives of our society are completely broken, and the foundational elements of our society are corrupt. And as a result, people that are malicious or don't like Bitcoin are able to weaponize those elements against Bitcoiners and our fantastic open source contributors and maintainers, and that is kind of what we're witnessing right now. Being a NIM contributor helps here. Having contributors geographically distributed helps here. We have the benefit of both of those things to a degree. Hopefully we see more of that. But yeah, it's mostly something. It's mostly a be aware, freaks kind of topic. But
And looping back to the mentor-mentee comment that you made, even though a lot of these maintainers who have been around for a while and are recognized as graybeards who really understand Bitcoin, but not only that, like the hardcore cryptography and the nature of the distributed system that Bitcoin is attempting to preserve moving forward, even though they're not officially maintainers, that mentor-mentee relationship can probably exist in some fashion, just not publicly.
yeah, that's why there's nuance to all this.
Yeah. So shout out to the 4 maintainers that remain. I imagine there will be some discussion in the coming months about replacing Marco. I think they do want to have at least 5 maintainers as a project at any point in time. So Marco leaving obviously is going to need a replacement, and so we'll be on the lookout to see discussion around that and who is who is put forth to replace Marco.
Yeah, I mean, we also have John Delaney in the comments mentioning that, when you bring in new developers, particularly as maintainers, they can be spooks. I mean, that is obviously a concern. With open source projects, that's why you want to have many eyes on the code. So individuals don't have as much power because they are checked by that verification. I think the bigger concern is really
fear.
The bigger
sticking your neck out there to actually be a maintainer.
Well, I mean, that is one. I mean, the bigger concern is Bitcoin's a very unique project, right? With very unique trade-offs, operating in a very adversarial environment. And there's something to be said about people who, have been around for a long time, contributing to the Bitcoin project, staying around and being a guiding force, a guiding light there, because it is, very different, and the stakes are very high compared to many other open source projects.
Yeah, it's very mentally taxing for these developers. If you've ever spoken with them, it really does add a lot of stress to their lives, because the weight of the importance of Bitcoin and what it means for the future really weighs on these individuals.
Yeah, and often like the lack of funding, the lack of thanks, these things all weigh in on it. Yeah. We lost Carl Dong too.
Yeah, we did.
Another legend.
Wasn't a maintainer, but a very elite contributor to the project.
Yeah. At least he still runs his Lightning proxy service, so I can re-up on Mulvad credits with Lightning. vpn.sovereign.engineering.
Shout out to you for continuing to maintain that, Carl. Yeah, no, I mean, late TFTC shill, James O'Byrne and I covered this topic, second half of that episode from a month or 2 ago. Yeah, it's a hard discussion. There's no clear...
I have him in a list because he formally proposed OP Vault, Op Vault.
Are we doing speedy trial again?
I really don't like speedy trial.
Neither do I.
But this is a perfect example, right? So like he has this opvolt proposal and now he needs to kind of champion it out to the global community. And it's a very stressful, high stakes kind of situation. Most people will not want to champion something. We're already seeing a lot of pushback, particularly there's a lot of regret over Taproot by people, including people that push Taproot through, which is of course ironic, but the internet never forgets. Did you and James talk about opvault on?
Oh yeah, it was like the whole first half of the conversation. So for any of you freaks who are unaware of what opvault is, so the concept of vault is basically you set preconditions to spending certain Bitcoin to certain destinations. There's been many iterations of vaults throughout the past. Brian Bishop has a vault architecture live, but it's not ideal because you have to have all these pre-signed transactions, and if you lose those pre-signed transactions, you can't actually spend the Bitcoin, so there's no real fault tolerance there. Jeremy Rubin similarly has this proposal for OpCTV. It's not vault specific, but the covenants that would be included with OpCTV would enable vaults, but many people think that OpCTV is like too much all at once. And James, who has been passionate about vaults for some time now, thinks it would add a lot of security to individuals holding Bitcoin and enterprises who are dealing with Bitcoin. It creates a sort of fail-safe where if a malicious actor gets access to your private keys, you have time to sweep the Bitcoin to an address that you control. So it creates this cold storage.
Specifically like a pre-chosen address, right? So like
Yes.
you have if you notice your cold storage or whatever wallet is being drained, is being hacked, there's a delay that's built into it, and you have time to essentially divert those funds instead of going to the hacker's wallet to go to your other wallet that you've already predetermined.
Yeah, so you just sign during that delay period. It uses it's an end time lockup. A certain function where you can lock up for a certain amount of blocks between the initial signing of the transaction when it's actually sent. If you didn't sign that initial transaction, you have time between the amount of blocks you put in that lockup period to sign another transaction that sends it to a wallet that you control. With opvault particularly, just comparing it to Jeremy Rubin's CTV proposal, opvault is very narrow compared to CTV. Just wants to get vault functionalities in, which a lot of people seem to like, that it has a lot of focus. There's
you want narrow updates, because when you have larger updates, it's hard to comprehend what potential what happens with those updates, like how those affect the network, how they affect the protocol. Do we maintain censorship resistance? Does it add new bugs? So when possible, focused improvements or focused changes, because improvements is kind of the eye of the beholder, are better than large sweeping changes.
Yes. So opvault improves on Brian Bishop's vault construction because or you have less likelihood of losing the backups and not being able to spend the Bitcoin. It has an improvement on the potential vault implementation of OpCTV because it also has fee flexibility. You can change the fees at the time that you spend to make sure that your transaction will actually get included in a block if the mempool is full and the fee environment is different in the future compared to when you actually constructed the vault. Long story short, this is a proposal. I personally like it. I would like to see it. It does need a soft fork to enable two opcodes, opvault and opunvault. And so James this week presented an activation path for this on the mailing list. And it seems like, again, going back to Taproot SegWit, we have these activation methods for how you actually signal between full nodes, miners, and other actors in the space that, okay, we do want this. We want it, included. We will run the code that enables op volt and op unvolt, and speedy trial is what we use for Taproot. And there are many individuals in the space who don't think speedy trial is the best way to do it. I think I would raise my hand and say I don't like it either.
So Bitcoin's a distributed network. We don't have auto updates. If you add auto updates, that'd be an attack vulnerability, because you could do an update that hurts Bitcoin and hurts Bitcoin stakeholders, right? So you don't have auto updates. So we have this distributed network with stakeholders around the world with different priorities. How do you make changes? How do you make breaking changes, right? How do you do soft forks? How do you do hard forks? Well, we don't really do hard forks. We haven't in a while. We might have to do one eventually. But how do you activate it, right? How do you actually roll out this change to the network? Speedy trial was something proposed during Taproot. It's what was used to activate Taproot. And the idea is basically, this isn't really that contentious of a change. Most stakeholders should support it. So what we will do is we will hand it off to the miners, and as long as a certain threshold of the miners signal that they have updated and they're ready for the change proceeds. Now, where's the concern there? The concern there is miners don't and should not control Bitcoin. They should not control Bitcoin consensus. Speedy trial essentially gives the miners an option, where the miners, if they want to push through a change, have a lot of power to get that change through. And they also have a very strong veto power if they don't want to push that change through. In speedy trial, if the miners go along with a change, node operators essentially have to do a UASF, a user activated soft fork, and attempt to actively block the change. Which is difficult. It's always more difficult to actively update your nodes to stop something from happening, like Marty's man in the coma situation, right? If you're in the coma and speedy trial is going through, whatever the miners decide is what happens, and you're in a coma and you just kind of go along with it.
Yeah.
So that's basic. There's more nuance to it than that, but that's basically that's basically the concerns around speedy trial. It essentially gives miners too much power.
So Jay Berg's asking.
There's no easy answer here. There's no easy option when it comes to these things.
No. So Jay Berg's asking, how can you not like speedy trial? It literally is the no drama option that fails fast if there is drama. And I don't know if that's the case, considering the power that the miners have within the speedy trial activation method. And this was something that was thrown around post Taproot when people were mad that speedy trial was used, that I think I may lean towards and agreeing with, which is maybe we should have a different activation method every time we do one of these consensus changes, because if you normalize one activation method, maybe it could be used as an attack vector to get something merged that would be bad for the network. You can develop ways to socially attack that activation method.
Yeah, I mean, Jay also said it's the no drama option. It fails fast if there's drama. If there's no drama, then it gets updated. But I would say that's if there's no drama among miners. So it's kind of devs plus miners. I don't know. Like I said, there's no easy answer here. It's always a messy situation. It's not it's uncharted territory, really.
Yeah, there was a healthy back and forth. Maybe it wasn't so healthy, but James, Francis, Palat, and from Bull Bitcoin and others were going back and forth about speedy trial and other activation.
Can we pull that up? What do they say? Unfortunately, they must have done this on Twitter because I did not see it on Nostr.
Let me find it.
But yeah, that's the current. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel in general, except that I mean, you can look back on the tweets, and you can look back in RHR. Like with Taproot, it didn't sit right with me how quick it was just kind of like pushed through. And I'm still not sold, and I'm definitely going to get accused of FUD for this. I'm still not sold, like, this idea of soft forks, that they're like optional, and like if you don't go along with them, you're fine, and you could just keep using the network as is. Like, yeah, obviously the node still does work, but if you don't update to Taproot, you won't see any Taproot transactions. If most of the network moves to PTLCs for Lightning, you won't see those transactions. If you know, like, if that's the case, if soft forks are, fine for users that don't want to change, then why is everyone complaining about inscriptions? Just don't update Taproot. You won't see most of that data.
Yeah, we got the thread up here. Francis said another soft fork, OpVault, has just been proposed with activation by speedy trial. Are you fucking kidding me? And then when I saw what I was referencing, I don't think Francis entered this conversation, but James quote tweeted that. For the record, I don't really care about activation mechanism. Makes no difference to me. And then you can see under that Shinobi and others are signaling that they're not too fond of speedy trial either.
Scroll down. What happens next?
James says, I really don't understand the beef with speedy trial. It's like, if everyone wants to activate this, let's just do it. It doesn't remove anyone's ability to object to a soft fork.
Shout out to the Doctor Who meme GIF.
I've never seen that movie.
It's a show.
That show.
On BBC. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a legendary show.
Yeah, I always
well,
noticed
at least
the drip coming off of his nose.
It's very good. Yeah, I think it's good that we're having this conversation, because we did not have this conversation for Taproot. Open discussion is important. I do not pretend to be an authority. Do not trust anything I say on this fucking show. Definitely do not trust Marty. And
fuck.
And I just, open discussion is very important, and we should have this discussion before we like rapidly push things through.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd both don't trust either of us.
That's what I said.
No, not especially me. We were both pumping Taproot. We'll put our hands up here. I think speedy trial too.
Well, you can check back the tapes.
What were we saying? What were you saying back then?
I just I didn't have, I didn't really understand what was going on, right? I tried my best.
Yeah, that's the hard
we
thing
couldn't
about this.
we couldn't understand the implications.
No, we couldn't foresee Barack breaking LND with a 998 of 999 multisig or something like that. I don't have the cryptographic chops to discern that from these types of upgrades.
But that is one of the hardest parts, is the activation mechanisms.
Yeah.
There's no obvious activation method.
So the conversation starts. Should be said, I think that's the most controversial part of OpVault, again, since James has designed a very narrow upgrade. But again, who am I to discern whether or not there's some edge cases that could add some negative externalities? But it seems on the surface to be pretty narrow.
It's a way simpler change than Taproot was.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, I lost a bet because I thought Taproot wasn't going to get activated. I paid HRF. Remember, I thought it was going to take or at least I didn't think it was going to get activated as quickly. And I had to pay HRF because I lost that bet with you. I donated to open source contributors.
Yeah, that was a $1 million sat bet.
So it caught me off guard a little bit how quickly it got pushed through.
Yeah.
Do
we have another hour in
yeah.
us, do you think? I think we have another hour.
You're just going to push this episode until mempools still don't clear and then finally give up and go back home to your family?
We'll be here until August. 6 blocks. 6 blocks according to mempool is the backup. It's going to fucking clear like an hour after we wrap up.
Don't worry. If it does clear before the difficulty adjustment, I will double down next episode.
All right. Be aware about OpVault. We have a link to the proposal in the show notes. Again, if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on there, record an episode with James on TFTC and go watch that. We go into it. He's been on a few other podcasts as well. Stefan's. He was on Bitcoin Review. I don't know if they were talking about OpVault there. You had him on Dispatch recently, but did you guys talk about OpVault?
Who?
James.
I haven't had him on Dispatch recently. I should have him on again.
I'm getting confused with Bitcoin Review then.
Yeah, no, he was on MVK show.
Yeah.
MVK loves OpVault.
I did too. I mean, again, the way it's described, if it works as described, it would be a massive improvement to cold storage security.
Yeah, I mean, it logically follows. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have that feature set.
James is marketing it as like there'll never be an exchange hack again.
He's also marketing it as like the anti-$5 wrench attack, which, by the way, like $5 wrenches don't exist anymore. You have to pay at least $12 for a wrench. Mandibles. But yeah, like if a $5 wrench attack, you can think of it as that situation, right? Someone comes in, robs you in your house. You're not using geographically distributed multisig. They make you sign a transaction. You send it to their wallet. They leave, and then because you used OpVault, you're able to then sweep it to a wallet you control rather than the hacker's wallet.
Yeah.
Or the robber's wallet.
Material improvement to cold storage. We mentioned earlier that devs often go thankless. I'd like to thank James for all his hard work putting it into.
And
this.
Also, to be clear, yeah, huge shout out to James. He's on the board with me at OpenSats. Also doesn't get paid for that. Doesn't get paid to be a core dev. Good dude. Appreciate you. We're lucky to have you in Bitcoin. I to be clear, once again, I'm still glad we did Taproot, and I was positively for Taproot at the time. I still don't. I think I was clear that I didn't love the activation method, but I don't know. Maybe I wasn't.
No, recalling now, I think you were.
Tapes.
I think you were a bit apprehensive on speedy trial.
But yeah. Either way, everyone should learn from this. We should have open discussion on all this shit. But yeah.
Be aware.
To this, if I could pull back Taproot right now, press a button, take back Taproot, I wouldn't do it.
Neither would I. Because Matt's a big.
I'm glad we have it.
Matt's been dropping inscriptions in the back.
You should see all the inscriptions Marty made. He's nodding yes. He made a lot of inscriptions.
On to more encouraging news and from the political sphere here in the United States. Rep. Tom Emmer. There was another co-signer from Minnesota, correct? Or no, he's from Minnesota, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't follow politics. He's the majority whip. He's like the head of Congress for the Republicans. Is that correct?
Yes.
So he did this anti-CBDC bill, and that's what we're reporting on.
Yeah. Today I introduced the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act to halt efforts of unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. from stripping Americans of their right to financial privacy. The bill does 3 things. Prohibits the Fed from issuing a CBDC directly to anyone, bars the Fed from using a CBDC to implement monetary policy and control the economy, And 3, requires the Fed CBDC projects to be transparent to Congress and the American people. Any digital version of the dollar must uphold our American values of privacy, individual sovereignty, and free market competitiveness. Anything less opens the door to the development of a dangerous surveillance tool. After all, America remains a technological leader, not because we force innovations to adopt our values under regulatory duress, but because we allow technology that holds these values at their core to flourish. Seems like he's a Bitcoiner. He's spoken positively of Bitcoin in the past. Should note, this bill has only been proposed, has not been signed into law. Could be similar to the Elizabeth Warren situation from a few months ago, where she was taking where she was taking the opposite approach, and this could just be a big PR stunt that has no chance of getting through.
Fucking politics. This is one of the reasons. All of these, if you could tell, like the reason we named this episode is also tiresome. I feel like it just embodies this whole. First of all, a great meme, but I feel like it embodies all the topics on this episode. One thing we've talked about, Marty, is this idea that CBDCs in America, at least, are very unlikely. And that's from a direct definitional point of view of CBDCs, a central bank issued digital currency. And that's mostly because we live in a very corrupt oligarchy here, where corporate entities are going to want to be rent seekers. So I do, like, my skeptic glasses would say, yeah, of course, like the big money interests don't want the Fed to release a direct to consumer surveillance coin. They would like the Fed to grant privileges, or the U.S. government, the feds, not the Fed, to grant privileges to corporations so that they can then issue the surveillance coin and they can rent seek along the way. So when it comes to why are we concerned about a CBDC, why is Citibank concerned about a CBDC? They're concerned about a CBDC because they want to be able to rent seek. Why are we concerned about a CBDC? Well, I won't speak for everyone, but why am I? Because I don't want greater surveillance and control over money. And with or without a CBDC, that can still happen, because corporations will be managing the financial products. But they will be working hand in hand with governments to make sure that there's full surveillance and full control over those products.
Yeah, what Matt just described is the intercabal squabble that we have touched on at times here in the last year. Yeah, I mean, one can make the argument the CBDC in a lesser form is already here. I mean,
correct.
A Fed-controlled CBDC would be the end-all, be-all. They control everything, airdrop money into your wallet, tell you have to spend it in a certain amount of time, and you can only spend it at certain places. Immediately institute negative interest rates that take money out of your CBDC wallet because the government needs to pay down bad debts. But that's not tactically impossible with the monetary system and digital payment system that's been erected today. I mean, we're already seeing people getting deplatformed from providers like PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, for exhibiting wrongthink. It's not hard to imagine that they would be able to decline your card at the butcher if you're trying to buy too much steak at one point in time.
Yeah. I guess John Delaney, once again, he's on fire in the live chat right now. There is a big difference, I guess, between a corporate-run surveilled financial system and controlled financial system versus one administered directly by the central bank, which is how they decide to debase the money. Like the corporate controlled can't. They don't have the ability to debase the money. But
yes,
like the Fed,
they're the ones who issue credit in the first
place.
But
like the Fed debases it, and then the interface to it is the corporate.
Yeah. There's the whole Fed window.
Yeah.
Fed providing reserves that allow banks to
they debase it together.
Yeah. It's all fucked, essentially. You get a lesser two evils. One could argue that the commercial banking digital money system is a very small step below a full-on CBDC world, but we're trending in that direction with both systems.
I'd rather just like we probably won't get it.
Just rip the Band-Aid and go full CBDC so people get.
Because otherwise it's like a frog boiling in water kind of situation. Which is why I think a lot of Bitcoiners just use CBDC as like the boogeyman, right? Because it's like it takes more nuance to be like Venmo can close your account and surveil you and shit. But yeah.
Yeah. So comparing those two slightly different systems to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a push system. There's nobody that can stop you from pushing out, from pushing and broadcasting a transaction to another address. Of course, if the mining layer gets centralized to a point where miners can keep a list of addresses that they don't want to include transactions from in their blocks, that could be where the censorship enters, but hopefully we ensure that the mining layer is sufficiently distributed to lower the probability of that type of censorship. There is hope with Bitcoin. There's very little hope in the incumbent system. I guess that's the framing we should be using.
Yeah, I guess with the current status quo, you often hear like, oh, it's private enterprise. Like, of course they can close your account. You can go somewhere else. You know, so like you always hear this bullshit. Of course, in high profile cases, they just get debanked and deplatformed everywhere. But it's really it's really obvious to people if the government is directly controlling the money and taking away people's savings directly. It's very obvious to people. So in that way, like people will learn quicker. Like you said, rip the Band-Aid off. But I think I tend to agree that in America, at least, we probably won't see that happen just because there's so many corporate interests that want to be involved in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, and this sort of ties into the newsletter I wrote late last night. I got it out at like 1 a.m. Central Time. But again, I think we need to remind people that technically the way the monetary system's set up, we live under a system of debt slavery. Like we are all, to a certain extent, slaves to the treasury market. I think the way it works right now in the U.S., we'll just use the U.S. as an example, but I think this applies to many other countries around the world. Like the Treasury Department says, hey, we need more money to fund liabilities. We're going to issue new treasuries. They raise a bunch of cash. The market attaches an interest rate to those treasury bills, notes, bonds, whatever they are. And then the treasury has to pay that back. How do they pay that back? Two ways. They tax the public. So the public is forced to work and then not only work, make money, and then have a portion of that siphoned off to pay back the interest on the debt that's been accrued by the Treasury Department, or the other route, which is probably what they lean more heavily towards now, but I think there's going to be a combination of the two, both being heavily used as we move forward in time. The other route is simply issuing more treasuries to raise more cash to pay down the interest on the debt that you accrued earlier. And the thing that makes this system slavery is that nobody opts in. The Treasury doesn't come to American citizens and say, hey, are you okay with us issuing these notes that you're going to have to pay back via taxation or debasement in the future? They just go and do it. And if you extrapolate that out on a long enough timeline, there's people who aren't born today that are simply born into a system where they are then forced via taxation or debasement of their money to pay back that debt in one way or the other. So it is technically, like, literally debt slavery, the whole system, the way it's erected.
Indeed.
It's crazy. It's like fish swimming in water. Most people don't even think there's unborn children that are born into it. It's just like with the water they're born into, they don't realize.
That's what people don't realize. Like Bitcoin doesn't like magically solve inequality, but at least the money isn't fucking corrupt, right? Like at least you have a actual fair monetary system and you're able to store your wealth. You're able to spend without permission, without corrupted powers that be essentially rug pulling you by design over and over again.
Yeah, you get a chance. I mean, number one with Bitcoin, it can't be debased, so they don't have that lever of the debt slavery to debase your purchasing power over time. Yes, taxation may still exist
it will still exist
for quite a bit. Death and taxes always going to be around apparently, but the one lever in debasement is completely eliminated from the situation. Then taxation, even though it may exist, since Bitcoin is a push system, it could be much harder to enforce.
It'll be more visible to people.
Yeah.
So there'll be more accountability.
Yes.
Like one of the most, like obviously debasement is very easy to hide from the public, and people just have their blinders on, right? They just don't realize how much is being taken from them as the money supply grows. But also, I mean, like the taxation, like the auto paycheck withdrawal stuff, where you just never see the money that just gets pulled out of the taxes. Like the money that gets in your bank account has already gotten it pulled out. That could still happen with Bitcoin, but that it's intentional, right? It's intentional that a large portion of your paycheck is pulled out before you receive it. So otherwise, if like people had to pay that after the fact, and you see this with independent contractors, because independent contractors actually have to pay it after the fact. There'd be outrage. There'd be an insane amount of outrage, because you'd actually be, cutting the payment out to the government.
Yeah. Be like, where's this going? Another how many billion to Ukraine? Another trillion towards infrastructure that's still crumbling? Where is all this money going?
Exactly.
What are we doing here?
Exactly.
Do not despair, though, freaks. We're going to win. We need to win. We're going to win because we need to win.
There we go. And RDBTC said in the comments, nothing solves inequality. Yeah, if that wasn't clear, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, RDBTC.
But we need a fair money system. Like if you don't have a fair money system, if the money system is corrupt, that's extremely fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, the way the money system is set up now. I mean, we've belabored the Kantian effect many times throughout the years on this podcast, but it's inherently corrupt from its core to basically facilitate inequality from a design first principles perspective. Certainly not going to eliminate inequality. Different people have different drives, provide different values, are more productive, less productive. Like RDBTC said, it's a force of nature. But I do think the inequality gap. Actually, I'm not going to make an assertion like that. It levels the playing field to make it so that you can get what you deserve if you provide value to the economy, where the incumbent system, you can provide a lot of value and just get devalued on a whim, debased on a whim, because Jerome Powell wakes up and says, hey, economic lockdowns, $4 trillion. Bam. Everybody, $1,200 stimmy checks. Go hit the bars. Actually, don't do that. You're going to have to go hit the liquor store and like party in your house because the bars are closed. Next up on the list, shout out to the boys at Mutiny. They've been hanging out in the Commons all week. So this is Parker's biggest qualm with Nostr is he thinks it's a distraction from important Bitcoin development that should be going on. And the Nostr
wrong,
boys,
Parker.
the Mutiny boys are out here building Nostr apps.
It's complementary. Bitcoin is a open monetary protocol, and Nostr is an open communication protocol. And it's very important that we have both. As Marty introed, the Mutiny Wallet boys, Ben Carmen, who Marty famously shooed, Tony Giorgio, and Paul are creating Mutiny Wallet, which is a Lightning wallet in your browser, in any browser window. But they also created this Nostr relay implementation called Blastr. And the idea is relatively simple. In Nostr, there's this concept of relays. You can think of them as servers where you're sending your posts to. And then other clients are hitting those relays to pull down the posts. Blastr is a relay that you hit. And once you send it there, Blastr will then send it out to as many other relays as it possibly can. So you can think of it as like a relay proxy that then repeats it out to as many relays as possible. Why is this important? The more relays you connect to, the more bandwidth you use. On mobile, the more battery you use as well. So by connecting to a single Blastr relay, you can have a wider reach. You can hit many other relays without connecting to them directly.
Yeah, it sort of acts as a VPN too, right? Because you're only leaking your IP to one entity.
Yeah, you're only leaking your IP address to the Blastr, whatever relays you connect to, right? So if it's only the Blastr relay, then they're the only ones that know your IP address. This implementation uses Cloudflare, though, so you're actually doxing your IP address to Cloudflare, which is definitely a spook operation. So I would not advocate this as a privacy tool. Use a VPN or Tor.
Spook operations in the same building as the Commons.
You guys got to work on that. Scare them out of the building.
Yeah, we go up there and TP their office once a week.
The major trade-off with this is this idea of paid relays. With paid relays, you pay sats to get your Nostr account, which is a public key, private key pair, right? Similar to Bitcoin. Your Nostr account is a public key. For the paid relay, you give them your public key, you pay them a certain number of sats, and as a result, they whitelist you and let you use their relay. Blastr cannot, by design, relay out to paid relays because you haven't paid for them. So
maybe that's the next iteration. Let you pay for them.
Well, like the ones that you paid for, it can send it to.
Well, you pay Blastr. Blastr pays an invoice from the paid relay on your behalf.
Now it's getting complicated.
Gives them your MPub and says, hey, this guy paid. I'm vouching for him. Allow him to connect to your relay. That could be the way it works. Business idea, Blastr team. If any of you are listening in the comments right now, want to come talk about it. Except for Ben. You're going to get immediately shoot if you walk in this door. We already talked about Twitter launching coins. Pretty weak project. Freedom Money, episode 4. With our boy Abubakar.
Or Abubakar. He's so nice that he never really makes it clear how I should pronounce it, but I say Abubakar. He's amazing. Everyone should go give it a listen. You can just search Freedom Money on YouTube.
Extremely impressive individual.
4 great episodes. So definitely go check them out, and new episodes will come out on Wednesdays. We have 2 more to go for this season.
Yeah, and I think
Abubakar is a Bitcoin core dev. He has Recursive Capital, which is a VC fund, and he's on the board of B-Trust, providing grants to open source contributors. And he has Kala, which is a developer education initiative.
If you're looking for a Bitcoin white pill, go listen to this one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of walk and talk on this one too.
Go watch. It's a good format for you. I'm telling you. You're Bitcoin's Anthony Bourdain.
It's an honor and a privilege. That means a lot.
It's true. Oh, yes, it's cool to see. A lot of good feedback on this move by the Bitcoin Park. The Nashville Energy and Mining Summit panels have been released to the podcast feeds. Only the panels where all the panelists gave the okay to syndicate the private event panel discussion to the podcast feed.
Yeah, so 2 of the panels opted out of being published, but all the other panels are there. You just search Bitcoin Park in your favorite podcast app and go give them a listen. Marty was there. It was a great time, a lot of good content, a lot of good discussions. Now, if you come down to the park in person, there's Q&A. The Q&A is not included by default in the published feeds, just to keep that in mind. It's important for us to both respect the privacy of the people asking questions, but also give a little bit of benefit to the people who show the proof of work of actually coming to the events.
It was an incredible event. One of my 2 panels is up on the podcasting feed.
Yeah, the other one will never be heard.
Never be heard.
Unless you were there.
I heard it. Yeah, it was an incredible panel too. Really fascinating panel. Last but not least, Coinbase launches a new layer 2 protocol, Base.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a slow news week, so I asked the freaks on Nostr what we should cover, and they let me know that Coinbase released this layer 2 shitcoin network that's compatible with like Ethereum, Solana, and other shitcoins. I did not know that they had launched this. This is testnet only for now. It came to my attention about a half an hour before the show. But I think the main takeaway is that Coinbase is launching their own shitcoin layer 2s instead of adding Lightning. And that's going to be a massive bad judgment call on their part, and just shows how early we are that these companies are still completely missing the plot.
Yeah. Talk about misallocated capital, time, resources. I think Pierre's been badgering Coinbase to add Lightning for 3 years now.
One day, Pierre, one day.
Yeah, if you go down, you scroll down on the page, like what they're marketing. Secured by Ethereum, so secured by inherently centralized network.
But it's not. I think they have full control over it, but I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, freaks. I'm not reading this white paper. I already read the Stacks white paper to argue with the Stacks people. Stacks is a complete shitcoin. I'm not reading this.
Scaled by Coinbase. Base is an easy way for decentralized apps to leverage Coinbase's products and distribution. Seamless Coinbase integrations, easy fiat on-ramps, and access to Coinbase ecosystem, which has 110 million verified users and $80 billion in assets on the platform. So essentially create like a white labeled entry point to a completely centralized publicly traded company.
I'm just staring at these cones or whatever they are here.
What do you think of them, Logan?
Yeah, why are you just going to say that?
Why are they here? What are they for?
It's the future of finance.
Just to make you think. I think Coinbase will be a great case study in 20 years.
Jevy said they don't have validators. They have sequencers. I don't know. I'm not going to look into it. The big takeaway is that they're distracted. Many people in this space have still not figured out the plot yet. And we'll still keep coming in and week out, just saying all our takes and watching people get surprised by most of them like 3 years later. It's all just so tiresome.
It's so tiresome. We'll be here. Probably more tired in a couple years. Or maybe it'll be middle of bull market. It'll be all jacked up. All caps Odell. Caps Odell will be back.
He's going to be on Nostr, though. He won't be on Twitter.
It's true. Caps Odell and Nostr. You can't delete the caps notes on Nostr.
Dude, Nostr was fucking. It was like it was built for me. You can't delete. You can't block. You can't edit.
You can block.
You can mute.
Yeah.
I can still reply guy you.
You haven't been doing that yet, so no reason to mute you.
Was because the influencers haven't really come on yet, right? But when they come on, they're gonna just get fucking wrecked. Like they're used to their safe spaces. They just do not. They're not ready for it.
No option to hit off. Only people I follow can reply to me.
Oh, what's this voltage LSP news that someone said? Flow 2.0.
Yeah, I think
You know anything about this?
I do, if I remember correctly. I think Graham, pretty sure he teased it when he came on the show at the beginning of the year. But it's a non-custodial liquidity service provider that is made to automate liquidity needs by providing just-in-time channel creation. This means that our LSP will be able to detect a payment going to your Lightning node and make liquidity decisions to ensure the payment makes it to you. This solves a lot of headaches for node runners, merchants, and developers. They're tasked constantly with managing their liquidity. Watch this video to learn more. I'll put that in our Slack group so you can put it in the show notes, Logan. But yeah, no, it seems like they have some liquidity plugins. They're going to manage channel liquidity on the go. So
That's awesome.
So you don't have to.
Well, congrats to the Voltage team. More tools like that help people with inbound liquidity and seamless channel management are much needed. So appreciate you all.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Beauty On's not going to be able to block people from reading his feed.
He's already on Nostr. I wonder how long he's going to last. Talk about a guy that loves blocking people.
He can still mute you. He won't see you, but you'll be able to return.
I'm fine with people muting. I don't, but I'm fine. Mute away. But you're not going to be able to stop me from replying underneath your fucking tweets.
Notes.
Or your posts.
That's been like the big, what do we call them?
They're posts.
Post. Notes.
I guess there's notes and other stuff, right? So
Yes.
they're notes. I call them posts. I just called them tweets. So fuck me, whatever.
Is tweet's just going to become this agnostic term for posting short messages on any social media app?
No, I think we'll just call them posts or notes.
I like notes.
I like posts. Notes to me are like personal. Like I write notes to myself. I guess you can write notes to other people.
Yeah.
I left you a note.
I got the Eminem song. Stan. I left you a note. You must not have got it. I don't know the words. I just butchered it.
Yeah, I mean, this is another good point. It goes farther than just influencers, right? Like corporate accounts, the WEF, right? Like they block replies to tweets. Like Twitter is quickly becoming this, like, even more so than it was before, this like blue check, elite kind of safe space where they can choose who can reply and who can't reply. They can control the conversation. They can control the narrative. On Nostr, it's a fucking free for all. And I love it.
I did too. Speaking of love it, I love it when you freaks shout out the show. Purchase a shout out. We have one shout out this week. It's a controversial one. I got a side message making sure this shout out was received. The purchaser of the shout out who it's okay being public. That's a hard question. Good morning, Sats. GM, good morning. Sats do not exist in Bitcoin, only outputs. Sats cannot be moved because there's nothing to move. The ordinal scam is the lie that Sats exist in the first place, with the ORD implementation promoted as the platform for moving them. The vast majority of people using ORD do not understand what they are buying, not unlike shitcoins. This is the grift. Storing arbitrary data in a witness is a neat trick at worst, but could unlock many powerful uses beyond monkey pick. Change my mind. At MF_HODL. Bitcoin. He's a Bitcoiner, Bitcoiner.
No, I mean, I agree.
Agree.
Go on.
P.S. The New York Citadel is stronger than ever and misses you both dearly. All the freaks should visit PubKey, which does, in fact, accept Bitcoin. Shaka bra.
Well, now they do. But I haven't been to PubKey yet. I've only heard good things. I'm sure it's great.
I can't believe I got the PubKey before you did.
I will say objectively, it's not. New York community cannot be stronger than ever, just knowing who left. And I'm not including myself. But, whatever you want to say to yourself.
Hey, you got to kill your heroes and new ones arise in New York.
Yeah, I guess so. But PubKey, I wish PubKey existed when we were New York Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And the remaining New York Bitcoiners are all fantastic people. A lot of them I consider family. So I appreciate you all. On the inscription ordinal stuff. Yeah, the ordinals part where like they rare sats and shit.
It's very reachy to the point where it doesn't really connect with reality.
It's very like mythology, like religion kind of bullshit, right? And the reason, but it's important to realize why Casey had to create that concept, right? And it's because of the UTXO model in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has a UTXO model, right? You can think of them as like bills in your wallet, right? These UTXOs, like when you construct a transaction, you have UTXOs on the input side. They essentially get destroyed, and then you have UTXOs, new UTXOs on the output side, usually two. One is the transaction you were making, and one is change coming back to your wallet, right? And Ethereum, you have this account-based system where you have this fixed address, and like all your tokens and shit are held at those addresses, right? Now, in a UTXO model, there's no easy way to necessarily denote ownership change over a monkey JPEG or a monkey NFT, right? So for the whole marketplace or whatever, quote unquote, marketplace for these inscriptions, trading them back and forth requires people agree to this ordinal method system on actually transferring them around and sending them around. Once you wrap that away, it's a kind of an interesting game model in your head where like people can inscribe arbitrary data on chain, but they can never sell it. They can never transfer it. They can never sell it, right? And then all of a sudden, a lot of like the scammy, unethical aspects of the NFTs and shitcoins and all this other shit kind of, innately get invalidated, right? Because you can't transfer them, you can't sell them. It's just like if I think like like playable Doom should be on chain, or ghost gun files should be on chain, right? Like 3D printed gun files should be on chain. You put them on chain, you pay the fee to put them on chain, but you can never transfer them or sell them.
Would the only way be to like load up a Sats card or an open dime and then sell that out of band? If you wanted to have like the actual UTXO with the ordinal connected to the Sats or something like that.
You can't actually, like, just imagine like you inscribe something, and then that UTXO then goes into a transaction, and like 6 UTXOs come out. Like, where did the quote unquote where did the inscription go, right? And like that's where they follow the ordinal Sats theory or whatever. But yeah, it's completely arbitrary. It's 100% arbitrary, and Casey kind of just made it up, and then people just followed it. But yeah, like you don't really have ownership of the inscription. Like the inscription is it's just data on chain. It's hex code on chain. It's ones and zeros that are put on chain. They're not necessarily like attached to an individual UTXO.
No. So yeah, like so people can go find that hex code, use some software outside of that to produce the image. Right click, copy. It's theirs.
Yeah.
That's why like the inscription, like Ghost Gunner, like that makes sense. Like if you are going to make a use case, I think there are better avenues for storing that.
You can have like a dead man switch, right? Like a encrypted blob of data. That when a dead man switch goes out, it gives the encryption key, and then you can download that 4 megs of data and decrypt it.
Yeah.
There are some interesting use cases there on the inscription side, but on the ethical side, in terms of like NFTs and selling NFTs and stuff, like I said this on the dispatch, if you listen to the dispatch that I had on with Casey, like unequivocally, like I will never sell NFTs. I'll never make any money off of NFTs. There will not be an RHR inscription collection.
No. Come on. Dude, easy gains.
This is what broke up Bitcoin Uncensored.
We could rug the freaks, dude.
Those are counterparty.
The rare Pepes.
Yeah. I think families will be destroyed over this. It does feel like there's like a bit of a war brewing over this shit.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a fad.
It's all so tiresome.
It really is. I'm kidding, freaks. We're not going to rug you with NFTs.
No, we never would.
I literally don't find them interesting at all. They don't make NFTs don't make sense to me, especially like the images.
Marty's just really excited that people can inscribe porn on the blockchain, so that's what he's most excited about.
If you inscribe porn on the blockchain, number one, you're polluting the chain. Number two, you're embedding something eternally on a ledger that God will be able to look at and say, you did that, you disgusting heathen.
Marty's everybody's favorite porn influencer.
I'm telling you, stop cooming, freaks. Best decision I ever made in my life.
So, Marty, should we wrap this up and I'll send you an invoice for 50,000 sats?
Can't wrap it up yet. We have Boostagrams to read. There's only 5 blocks in the mempool, so I think it's going to take...
In mempools.
In mempools.
There is no the mempool, even though we're watching Wiz's mempool.
I think we can stretch these 50 minutes. Maybe less. Top 4 Boostagrams from Rabbit Hole Recap number 240. Bitcoin is the only true stablecoin. At BTC Realist, 100,000 sats. California Shotcoiner back for another boost. In need of tips for getting my hands on cheap electricity for my ASICs. Any tips for located stranded energy is appreciated. Mandibles. In parentheses, only 13 hours on Audible, Marty. Thank you, BTC Realist. Finding cheap electricity, locating stranded energy tips. Like with natural gas wells, I mean, there's websites you can go to. I don't know the names of them off my top. You can locate natural gas wells, stranded natural gas wells online, which could provide you cheap electricity, but then you have to go through the trouble of determining whether that well can be easily turned on, what the gas content's like, getting a generator, figuring out the electrical components, all that stuff. Or you could go to upstream and just buy a hash hut, and if the well works, set up some pipes, direct it to the generator in your hash hut. Cheap electricity. I mean, find a place with a massive substation that has a ton of excess capacity. It's tough. Moved to like Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas. There was a heat map we had, I think a couple months ago, that showed like the cheapest electricity. It's hard. You don't just walk out the door and go find cheap electricity, though. Do you have any tips, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, do your own research, freak. You got, like, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly. That's what I'm like. The stranded energy, it's like, yeah, there's nobody's an expert in it yet. Yeah, it's not easy either, because you can find it, but then it's like, how do you actually turn it into electricity? Mine Bitcoin with it. Weather problems. Do you use Starlink, cellular data? Is there fiber around? There's so many.
So I feel like the internet side might be the easiest side of it.
Yeah.
The hardest part is probably sourcing finding a good source.
Yeah. But if I can figure it out, I'm sure you can, BTC Realist. Thank you for the shout out. Only 6-figure boost of the week at Sveinol, Sveinol. Sveinol. 77,777 sats. Mandibles, read it. Thanks for all the great stuff you provide every week. Stay humble, stack sats. Spain.
Number 2 Mandibles Boostagram. Let's go.
Spain from Norway. I think you're going to like this one. At Stevie, 60,000 sats. Great rip, as always. Great weather report. Shout out to my dad. Mandibles.
Really, another Mandibles?
Yeah.
Just a reminder, freaks. I'm going to have Mandibles author Lionel Shriver will be on Citadel Dispatch tomorrow at 11 Eastern Time, 1600 UTC. Come join us in the live chat.
Go over to Citadel Dispatch, subscribe, hit the notifications. But before you do that, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell here. Hit the thumbs up. Leave us a comment. Pump the algo. Last Boostagram from RIP240, or not the last one, but The fourth in the top 4, Eric99, 50,000 sats. Stay humble, stack sats.
Great advice, Eric.
As always.
Appreciate you.
What a rip. We thought it was a slow week, but we had really good, I thought we had really good in-depth conversations on many different topics here.
Yeah, there wasn't that many specific topics. I see Jevy in the comments asking about software updates. I mean, besides Blastr, I didn't have anything on my radar. And that wasn't really a software update as opposed to like a new project. But yeah, if we missed anything, freaks, hit us up in all of our different channels and we'll cover it next week. Marty now owes me 50,000 sats. And
should we do it live on air?
How are we going to do it live on air?
Just create an invoice and I'll scan it.
Oh, just go to geyser.fund/project/citadel and just
.fund/project/citadel. God damn it.
You can leave a little message there too, so you can see your payment come through.
Gotta hit fucking contribute.
Press the contribute button.
It's only
no, press the little sats button.
I got it. I fucking got it.
Mandibles. So freaks, I don't know if you realized last week I went a little bit too hard on saying mandibles over and over again. It was because at that point I already knew that she was probably going to be in the interview, but I wasn't sure yet, so I didn't want to jinx it. So instead I just said mandibles over and over again. That's what happened. Did you make the payment yet?
Yeah, go check your geyser fund.
The future finance. I don't see it. Does it not update right away?
I have a contribution successful.
Did you put a message?
I did.
Weird. I don't see it.
I got contribution successful on my end.
Why don't you yeah, I don't see it. Odd. Well, what are you gonna do? Maybe it doesn't update the feed right away. Do you see it on the feed?
I don't see it on the feed. I do see it in my wallet as paid. Sat's been dispersed.
Fair enough. I will check my actual Lightning node. Because that's just a front end. It actually goes to my Lightning node, which is fucking dope.
Yeah. I'm bummed my message didn't come up.
It'll probably come up. Maybe it's delayed. What was your message?
You'll see.
Fair enough.
You'll see.
Looking forward to it.
You can tell Lionel tomorrow.
Oh, maybe it was just mandibles.
No. You can tell her tomorrow.
Great. Well, I
Let her
appreciate
know.
you, Marty.
Send my message to Lionel. Okay. I'm bummed it's not coming up. I appreciate you too.
What am I supposed to... Oh, I'm supposed to read it on the page? Okay, we'll do.
Actually, don't. I said Mandibles is overrated.
Wow. You haven't even read it.
I feel like I have.
Well, I'll make sure to ask her that question and I'll tell her.
I mean, she kills Bitcoin in it. It's like...
In 2016, though, it happens to the best of us.
It's fan fiction.
She also has a character and it said that money can be thought of as stored energy. And bad money is a dilution of our energy.
It's a very cogent point.
Yeah, it's pretty spot on.
Very lucid. But yeah, Bitcoin died. It's overrated. You go down this like Mandibles, like black pill rabbit hole, but Bitcoin wasn't there.
That's true.
Well, honestly, I'm pumped for you to do that interview. I know you've been wanting to do it for quite some time. And obviously,
I'm pretty excited.
Big meme on the show.
Might just cancel both shows afterwards and just it's the peak and just fade off into obsolescence.
Oh, so we're not going to be here week in and week out after tomorrow.
Maybe not.
Is this the last rabbit hole recap?
The only way the freaks will know is if they join me tomorrow, and I'll let them know at the end whether or not I'm going to be back next week.
Freaks, was it a good one? Was it worth it? Was this the best?
No, I'm gonna stay around at least to the end of the year because I need to collect my 100,000 sats from you.
You're not. No, I'm gonna be getting. 100,000 sats from you.
We'll find out. We'll find
find
out. But thanks for the 50K sats, Marty. I appreciate it.
You know, we made a bet. I'm a man of honor. Show's not quite over yet, but it doesn't look like this mempool is going to clear. It's up to 6 blocks now. Congrats on your 50,000 sats.
No, the message still didn't come through. You got to talk to the guys. There must be a delay.
Do you see it on your node? You have Zeus or anything?
Should I check?
Yeah, check, because now it's going to annoy me. Like, if my wallet's telling me the wrong thing.
It might take me a little while. You want to talk to the freaks about something? Do you have anything to tell them?
We do have the Bitcoin takeover event here in Austin, Texas on March 18th. Still have tickets. If you go to the Eventbrite page, scroll down, there's an OpenNode link and a Stripe link. We prefer OpenNode. We have confirmed 2 debaters for the first Soho Forum style debate series event here at the Bitcoin Commons, which will be on April 23rd or 26th. Let me check my calendar real quick. April 26th. Wednesday, April 26th. It's going to be a great event. I don't know if I think they're confirmed. So it's Steve Barber, Jesse Pelleton. I believe the affirmative is solar and wind are not reliable sources of energy for Bitcoin mining.
And which side is Steve going to argue?
He's the negative. Jesse is the affirmative.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
But if you do come, we don't have
that's
tickets up for it yet. Be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a high
Wait,
class
so that's
event.
going to be separate? That's going to be separate?
Yeah, so the Bitcoin takeover is on March 18th. This debate series event is April 26th. Completely separate event. Inspired by the Soho Forum in New York. If you've ever attended that debate series, shout out to Gene Epstein and the team at Reason. It's a really good event. Inspired us to bring it down here to Austin, Texas with a Bitcoin focus. So this will be
I got your 50,000. I got your 50,000 sats 5 minutes ago.
All right, good.
But my node doesn't show the message.
Maybe it's just like
I don't think the node says the message. Maybe the node is just on Geyser.
It's probably not included in the transaction. It's probably like in the Geyser front end.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you for your sats. I appreciate it. It's gonna put my future children through college. So thank you for your service.
Well, you'll be sending me back that college fund and plus more at the end of the year.
Anyway, much love, brother. I appreciate all you freaks. I appreciate you, Logan.
I will be hopping in the live chat tomorrow.
I look forward to it.
To hassle Lionel.
I hope you and all the freaks come join. It's going to be a momentous occasion. I'm looking forward to the discussion. And as one of the freaks did say in the comments, it wouldn't have been a very good novel if like a paragraph in, she was just like, and then Bitcoin fixed it.
It would have been a short little sonnet that would have been much more impactful and true.
Oh, Sean B is saying it's on the Geyser Fund main page now, but it's still not on the project page. I mean, to be fair, there's been 76,000 contributors to the Civil Dispatch Geyser page, so
that's pretty insane.
It does stress their website. Mandibles is overrated from Marty. 50,000 sats. It is on the main page.
Do I have to spin up a TFTC?
Very
or is that?
Yeah, you should.
All right.
We can't do it for RHR because there's no way to do it with splits.
Or you could do it centrally controlled, but
I prefer freaks just use podcasting 2.0 and it just auto splits out to all of us. It's way better.
Yeah. Oh, the mempool cleared. You actually had to send me those sats back.
It did not. It did not. Love you, freaks. Love you, Marty. Appreciate you, Logan. Stay humble, sex sats.
The feeling is mutual, brother.